Bible has ever only had one story to tell. And that has to do with what we've been singing about, what we've been talking about. We have tended to, as human beings, to chop up this one story into segments. And sometimes it's important for us just to stop and put all the pieces together and just look at the panoramic view of that story. But it's only ever been one story. I am a married man, and that means I am spoken for. It means that I can't go looking in places that I used to for things. It means that I've stopped thinking about certain things to satisfy me because I am hitched. I am taken. Yes, I'm taken. Yeah. So I can't go around, looking at every lady that goes by and think, because I'm hitched. I'm spoken for. Somebody's got me. I've got somebody. Now, some people might think that limits you, that squeezes you into this box, but really it doesn't. It sets you free. Now, I have been married, I'll be 30 years in July. Actually, it's July the 6th. So if you want to celebrate with me, I'm happy for you to do that. We won't be sending out lists for presents and things like that, but if you want to celebrate with me, please feel free to. 30 years, that's a long time, isn't it? Okay, some people have said that looks like a life sentence to me. But hey, I quite like the sentence that I've had. It's been... And I would say that my marriage has been fairly successful, actually very successful. We're still here, we're still together, we still talk. It's been good. And this marriage has produced 2 amazing kids. 2 kids that we're proud of in the right way. So the marriage has produced something wonderful. And I'm happy. I won't ask the other half if she's happy. But I can stand here today and say that I am happy. And why is that? 30 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 30 years of being tied to the same person. And it's worked. Why has it worked? I say it's worked because we went into that relationship having an understanding of what it was about. Moving into that relationship, I figured that it would require give and take. That there would be times when I would have to, take the low path and say, okay. And there would be times when I would have to say, sorry. I didn't mean that. There would be times when I would have to do things that I really didn't want to do, but it was for the best. Yeah. We understood what it was about. We understood that it was not for a few weeks or a few months or a few years, but it was forever. Yes? We understood was about, if it got tough, we stuck together. We understood that if things got ugly, well, we'd face up to each other and stick it out. We understood that. And we still bought into it because we loved one another. But love wasn't the only thing that mattered. Yeah? It was this desire and commitment to one another. And it's that desire and commitment to one another that stopped me from looking for another. And stopped Dorcas from looking for another. Our marriage is successful, and I'm saying this praying, Father, please continue to have grace and mercy with us. Yes? Our marriage has been successful because we understood the framework of the relationship. Yeah? That isn't me. Sorry, hang on. That's not me now, all right? That's how it was 30 years ago. I reckon that some marriages, they fail or they are plunged into serious trouble because either one or both parties have not understood properly the relationship into which they were going into. And it continues all around us. We see marriages failing because of that. And I would like to say that having an understanding of the framework within which Yahweh relates to us is essential if we are to live to our potential. And the framework for that relationship is very similar to marriage. It's covenant. Covenant. And I want to suggest to you that too many believers have little understanding of the foundation of their relationship with Yahweh, and therefore they consistently live beneath their privilege and responsibility as participants of that relationship. And like marriage, I'm suggesting that this relationship with Yahweh should produce. And when we look around at our own lives, and we look around at the lives of believers across the world, we are looking for produce. And do we see produce that shows that we are in this relationship that should produce some amazing things? We need to have an understanding of that relationship. If we don't have an understanding of the relationship that we are in with the Father, then we run the risk of stepping outside of it. We run the risk of doing things that will jeopardize it. We run the risk of failing. And so often we've looked at the people of Israel and we've thought, wow, they were so messed up. They failed, and they failed, and they failed, and they failed again. But I'm saying to us that if we don't have a proper understanding of the relationship, we are likely to fail as many times as they did, or even more. It's important that we get this. We cannot, and listen to me now please, and I'm not dramatizing this. We cannot properly understand the good news about Yahshua until we view it through the lens of covenant. Full stop. You think you can? I'm saying no, you can't. because there's just one story, and it comes through this avenue, this tunnel, this corridor, covenant. So you cannot properly understand the good news of Yahshua the Messiah unless you view it through the lens of covenant. I'm going to say to you also that Yahweh's word is not properly understood until it's viewed within the framework of covenant. I go further. The reality of Yahweh, who he is not properly understood until it's viewed from the standpoint of covenant. Covenant is the framework in which Yahweh deals with us. Full stop. And if you don't get that, you're going to miss a lot of things along the way. So it's important for us to plug into this. Over the next 7 weeks or so, we want to explore the place of covenant in the overall purpose of Yahweh, and to see how it should shape our understanding, impact our relationship with Him and with each other, and how it should influence our service. I'm saying that this series on covenant is mega important. Mega important. So, brothers and sisters, if you know of some friends, brothers and sisters, part of your fellowship, who have not yet committed themselves to being here when this is being talked about, I'm suggesting that you give them a nudge and say, you know what, it's really important for you to be in service, because we're going to be talking about something that will have a serious impact on your life. Please do that. And anybody who's listening to this tape, to this message on tape or on online, I want to encourage you also to pass it on to other people, because it is the foundation of who we are, what we have. And today, it's the starting point. I want to talk to you about the starting point. And where I want to start is the Elohim of covenant, the God of covenant, the God of heaven and earth, has come down to interact with us. The God of heaven and earth, the one who created all things, has come down to engage with us. Now, some people refuse to believe that. Some actually don't even recognize it. But hey, that in itself, the fact that He has come down to engage with us, is a miracle. Indeed, a miracle. And who is He? Who is this being who's come down? Well, contrary to what some scientists and humanists would tell us, the world as we know it was His idea. He designed and created it. We look up at the heavens through powerful telescopes, and we see the magnificence of the universe. Well, He created all of that. And He has chosen to come down here and engage with us. Now, as complex and as wonderful as the human brain is, we cannot ever hope to understand Him or discover all there is to know about Him. The Scriptures gives us so much about Him, but yet it's so little. Because of who He is because of his magnificence. Now, I could spend the whole day and more talking to you from the scriptures about his magnificence. I could just live with the book of Psalms talking to you about his magnificence, but I'm going to just pull it right in and give you just a brief sampling of how incredible he is. And I'm not going to give you the scriptural references because there are too many. But if you want them, I can give you them afterwards. Yeah? So here I go. The Bible tells us some incredible things about the one who created the heavens and the earth. He is sovereign. He does whatever he pleases. No one can be compared to him. He is unequaled. The universe cannot contain him. There is no one for him to answer to. He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He is the ultimate, the highest, the supreme. He is the beginning of all things. He is eternal. He exists outside of time. There is no end to him. No one can fathom him. He's unsearchable, inscrutable. He is in every place at the same time. He is ever present. You can't run away from him. He is powerful. And his power is unimaginable. He is all-knowing. He knows your beginning from the end. He's invisible. He's unchanging. He's holy. He's merciful. He's faithful. He's trustworthy. He's impartial. He's perfect. He's righteous. He's true. He is love. He's magnificent. He's glorious. He's wonderful. He's marvelous. Beyond compare. The angels bow down day and night in worship of him, saying, Holy, holy, holy is Yahweh Almighty, who was and is to come. Hallelujah. That's enough to cause us to fall down before him trembling. That's enough to compel us to worship, to marvel and surrender our whole lives to him. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Where he is concerned, we understand but a little. But the little that we know of him should make us humble ourselves, respect him, reverence him. Oh, what else can we do but to throw ourselves before him? And he has chosen to come and commune and relate with us. With us. Think about who you are. Think about where you have been. Think about the dirt that was on you. And he has chosen to come to commune and to relate to you. And the means or the vehicle through which he has chosen to do this is covenant. It doesn't matter where you come from in the world. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, yellow. He has chosen to relate to us through covenant. Now, if that's true, if that is true, and it is true, it is important for us to understand what covenant is about. Is it not?
Yes.
So, the idea of covenant. Let's think about this, the idea of covenant. Berit is the Hebrew word that is most often translated covenant in the Old Testament part of our Bible, and it means agreement, treaty, contract, partnership, union. But the preferred meaning, I say the preferred meaning, not just mine, but the vast majority of scholars out there who study the Bible, the preferred meaning of this word is bond. Bond. Therefore, covenant is a voluntary, mutual commitment that binds two parties together in a relationship. Binds two parties together in a relationship. So therefore, Dorcas and I, we're in a covenant relationship because we've been bound together. Yeah? There are basically two types of covenants mentioned in the scriptures. The first is what we call a bilateral covenant. Covenant that is bilateral is one that is between two equal parties. So you've got two guys there standing together. They look equal, don't they? They are equal. Yep. And their covenant is sealed by both parties making vows to each other. Both parties have equal privileges and responsibilities within that covenant relationship. So it's a relationship between equals, and each have equal responsibilities, equal rights and privileges. The next type of covenant is the unilateral covenant. And from that you can see that it's not between equals. Yeah? Now this is the kind of covenant that Yahweh makes with people. And this type of covenant is fairly unique because it is always initiated by Yahweh. It is not something that Yahweh and the partner come together and talk about and agree terms about. No. Yahweh is the one who not only initiates the covenant, he's the one who sort of writes up the terms of the covenant. We don't sit around with him and negotiate. He packages it, brings it together, all of the details, and says, this is it. Do you want to come and join me? We don't get involved in that area of deciding what goes into the covenant. He does all of that. All is required of us is just to receive it. Yes? And to do what it requires. That is the covenant, the kind of covenant that Yahweh makes with us. We are called to accept it as offered, to keep it as demanded, and to receive what Yahweh has promised. And this is it, on oath. What He has promised on oath to give to us. The covenant is a pledge that Yahweh makes, which includes some amazing things. And as we study covenant over the next several weeks, you will discover some of those things. But I want to tell you that at the base of all of them is this. It includes what He will do, what He will be, and what is required of you and I. That's at the base of His covenants. Covenant is the central story that the Bible tells. It's the story. And from the book of Genesis to the book of Revelation, Yahweh records the progressive unfolding of His purpose. And that is to have a people in covenant relationship with Himself here on earth, where they will be His people, and He will be their Elohim, and He will dwell among them. The covenant that Yahweh makes with us can be summed up in this threefold promise that He makes. It is the embodiment of the covenant. It is the goal of the covenant. It's the essence. It's the heart of the covenant. And whenever you see this threefold promise, you know you're talking about the covenant relationship with Yahweh. His covenant. And I think it's important for us to just have a look at this threefold promise. And you would have noticed with the scripture reading that phrase kept coming out from time to time. I will be your Elohim. This is what the Sovereign One says. I will be your Elohim. I will be your God. This is an undertaking of Yahweh to be on your side. It is to be for you. Yes? He's saying, I am for you. Whoa. Whoa. Not only that, He's saying, I am for you. And guess who I am? I am the source of the universe. And so if I am for you, then everything that I have is at your disposal. I am here to protect you. I am here to guard you. I am here to fight for you. I am here for you. This is what He's saying. Nothing that comes against you will harm you because I am for you. Why do you think when the Israelites were coming out of Egypt, come through the desert, that the peoples around trembled? Because they knew who was their Elohim. I am for you. You will be my people. You will be my people. That means you are His possession. You belong to Him. And it means that Yahweh has committed Himself to you like He has to no other. He is your Elohim. He's committed Himself to you like no other. You are mine. You are separated. You can't be like those other people. You belong to me. And so when people look at you, they should know that you belong to me. There is this huge commitment from Him to be on your side. But there is also this commitment for you to be His. And this is it. This is what it boils down to. I will live. I will live or dwell among you. I will dwell with you. Can you imagine the Elohim of heaven and earth dwelling with you? Oh, it's extraordinary. Dwelling with you. And that's why I'm saying, if we don't get a grip of understanding the relationship that we're in, we are likely to live beneath our privilege. We're not going to fulfill our potential. Yes, we are meant to rule and reign here on earth now. Why? Because of the relationship that we're in. I will be your Elohim. You, my people. I dwell with you. Are we living the way we ought to live? I'm saying that this is the heart of the covenant. And you will find that phrase, or those phrases, tied together in many places in the scriptures. So many that I don't have the time to go through, but we're just going to flip through and a couple. Yeah? Here it is. Abraham, yes? I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make you into nations. Kings shall come from you, and I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offspring after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant to be Elohim to you and to your offspring after you. And so it goes on. To Israel, I will dwell among the people of Israel, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall know that I am Yahweh, their Elohim, etc., etc. Just a brief sampling. Yes, Israel again. That they may walk in my statutes and keep my rules and obey them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. Talking of covenant relationship. You shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. Talking of the covenant relationship. I will make my dwelling among them and walk among them, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And it goes on. I will be their Elohim. They shall be my people, and I will dwell among them. From the beginning to the end. The new heaven and this is what it says. This is Revelation. Yeah? This is when the holy city is coming down, and new heavens and new earth. See, the story still has this. Yes. Look, Yahweh's dwelling is with humanity, and He will live with them. They will be His people, and Yahweh Himself will be with them and be their Elohim. This is the story from beginning to the end. It's a covenant story. Hallelujah. That is the goal of covenant. I want to suggest to you that humanity was created to be in covenant. We were created to be in covenant. Yahweh created the earth as a habitat for the pinnacle of His creation. That's you. You, the pinnacle of His creation. The earth was designed and tailor-made for you. For me. In his creating, Yahweh didn't speak humankind into being. You notice that? If you're familiar with the creation story, you will know that Yahweh spoke that into being, called things into being, yes? But when it came to humankind, you get this something different. It's almost like the Father it gets down on his knees and he gets his hands dirty. He gets the soil and he starts to form this shape which has some resemblance to himself. And he forms this shape. And you can be able to see him sensitively and lovingly and caring, forming this image. And then he gets right down low and he breathes his own life into this being. And the being stands up, and there he is, someone who is in the image of Yahweh. He's bearing the image of the Creator. Whoa! That was so different to everything else that he'd done. Well, why was that? I'm giving you my idea. I believe that Yahweh wanted to have something much deeper, something much more intimate, something much more than he had with the animals. He wanted a relationship with this that he had formed with his hands. And I want to say to us that we are no freak accident of nature. People might tell you that. But we are not an accident of nature. Yahweh created us for a purpose, and that purpose is to have a relationship with us. Yahweh didn't want to relate to us in some loose, casual, haphazard, come-as-you-go kind of thing. No, he didn't want that. Scriptures tell us that he is a jealous God. So often we read in the Scriptures that Yahweh burned with jealousy. What is his is his. Who he binds himself to, he binds himself to. And he demands faithfulness and loyalty and obedience. He is a jealous Elohim. And I'm saying that because the relationship that he invites us into is not loose. It's not haphazard. It's not a do-as-you-like kind of thing. It's a real, tangible relationship. He lays out the demands of that relationship. We didn't sit with him and say, you know what, I don't mind that. Can you squeeze that out? It's this. And it requires us to be faithful. It requires us to be obedient. It requires us to be loyal to him. Love, commitment, faithfulness, obedience. That's what the relationship requires from us. We've got it from him. Yeah? That's what it requires from us. From the beginning of their existence, humanity entered into that kind of relationship with Yahweh. A covenant relationship. And that's what we were created for. That's why it's so important for us to understand this. We were created for covenant relationship. And I'm saying that way too many Christians treat Yahweh, the Elohim of Abraham, like someone that they can pick up as and when they want. That's not the kind of relationship that the Father calls people into. You're either in it or you're out of it. Now, although the term covenant is not stated in the opening chapters of Genesis, opening chapters I'm talking about 1 through to 5, I'm suggesting to you that the Bible nevertheless points to the fact that Yahweh covenanted when He created. In the opening chapters, we see the elements of covenant featured. Yahweh creates for Himself a couple, bearing His image, with whom He dwells, and they are His, and He is their Elohim. And if we read in Genesis chapter 1, 28 to 29, and chapter 2, chapter 2, verse 16 through to 17, we heard Thomas and Tikva read those passages to us. We will find there that Yahweh blessed Adam and Eve. He provided for them. As their Elohim, He provided for them. And He also gave them stipulations. He commanded them, go, be fruitful, and multiply. Yeah? That was a stipulation of the relationship. The relationship was to produce. Therefore, go, be fruitful, and multiply. He also said to them, look, I have given you everything that you need for your sustenance. I don't want you to eat of this tree. Don't eat of that tree. Because the day that you eat of it, you will die. That was a stipulation to them within the framework of the relationship. So I'm saying to you that from the outset, right from the beginning, covenant was in existence. Hosea chapter 6 verse 7 refers to Adam breaking the covenant. But like Adam, they, speaking of the Israelites, they transgressed the covenant. There, they dealt faithlessly with me. And there are other passages that speaks of Yahweh creating, and the basis of it is covenant. But this is just a couple that I'm passing on to you. Now, when we think about this, when we think about Yahweh, right from the outset, creating man, bringing her into a relationship with him, covenant relationship with him, we see it in the garden. It may have begun, it probably begun on the Sabbath day. But what? In the Sabbath. And Yahweh inviting them to join Him in the blessing, in the fellowship of the Sabbath. And they engaged with one another. And we're told that, in chapter 3, that Adam and Eve were accustomed to hearing the sound of Yahweh walking in the garden. Meaning that they knew Him. They had a relationship with Him. They connected with each other. It was a beautiful time for them. Adam and Eve experienced in the fullest sense of the word that part of the covenant, I will dwell with them. They experienced it on a daily basis as He, the Creator of the heavens and the earth, walked with them. Huh? And you know what? He wants to do the same with us today. He wants to walk with us on a daily basis. Every day, walking with you and I. Adam had that experience. The Bible talks about Yahshua being the second Adam. You find this, I believe, in let me see, Corinthians somewhere. Yes. Yes, 1 Corinthians 15:45 and Romans 5:14. Yahshua, the second Adam. Meaning he's been contrasted with the first Adam. Yes? With Adam came sin and death. With Yahshua comes life. Restoration of life. Restoration of relationship. Yes? And if Yahshua is likened, if Yahshua is likened to Adam, it suggests to me that I can look at Yahshua and see how he related to the Father and come to a conclusion that, you know what, Adam, the first Adam, related pretty much the same way. Now we know that Yahshua, on a daily basis, you could find him tucked away with his Father, having fellowship, receiving from him. Yahshua said, I don't do anything unless I see my Father doing it, unless my Father tells me. This tells us that Yahshua was in fellowship with the Father. I'm saying that Adam, in the garden, experienced the same thing. A closeness of fellowship that was so rich and so beautiful. This is how it's supposed to be in a relationship with the Father. Rich, full. We are supposed to be producing. That relationship was smashed to pieces where Adam was concerned. It was, whew. Why? Because he disobeyed. He stepped outside of the framework of the relationship by doing something that he was told not to do. You see, the relationship, where Yahweh is concerned, requires obedience. And I believe that obedience is the one thing that Yahweh is grappling with us today about. The power that we desire to see released among us is not going to come. We're not going to see it unless we start to obey Him. And obey Him in the small matters. He's told us so many times about this, and yet we don't. Well, we don't have because we don't obey. We don't experience His power, the wealth of His blessing, because we don't obey. That's something that the Father is grappling with us about, and we need to hear. We need to hear that. But you know, even when the covenant relationship was smashed, that wasn't the end of the story. Yahweh had already engaged a plan. Yes, that is moving and working even now. Yes? Isn't He wonderful? Yes. He is wonderful. He is faithful. And I'm saying that even with Adam and Eve breaking the covenant in Israel, breaking the covenant as many times as they did, and even with us, Yahweh is still faithful to His covenant. You know what? Because His intention is still His purpose is still to have a people here on the earth with whom He dwells with whom He relates with. My people. It's still His purpose. It's still His intention. And it doesn't really matter if you or I screw up. It's still His intention. It's still His purpose. And He will have a people. Whether it includes you or me. He will. You know, I want to be a part of His people. I want to be in covenant relationship with Him. You see, that's the only kind of relationship He knows. That's the only kind of relationship He wants. A covenant relationship. So many people are in the relationship and don't even know it. And don't even know what their full responsibilities are, what their full privileges are. In conclusion, Yahweh's intention of having a people on earth with whom He relates to in covenant remains unchanged. Covenant is one story that the Bible unfolds over generations. It's one story. And it is that Yahweh will have a people here on planet Earth in a relationship with Him. Not a loose, haphazard, casual relationship, but a relationship that requires commitment, devotion, faithfulness, love, obedience. So, should all this talk about covenant matter to you? Yes. Yes. It ought to, it should, and it does. Because it will affect how you think, how you conduct yourself, how you serve in the church, and how you serve the world. May Yahweh bless you as over the next few weeks you consider the significance and importance of covenant and to see yourself in it, to see how you should live in it. Yahweh bless you.